Hello and welcome to this month's news show. We've got a packed show with plenty to discuss from the fallout of Shimano's crankset recall.
Yes, and we've also got a tech development that makes your bike like an automatic car and a steady moves towards gravel of the humble endurance bike.
There's a lot to get through, so let's start with problems for Shimano. We will start with one of the year's biggest stories in the cycling industry. If you didn't already know, Shimano has recalled a number of its cranksets, with 2.8 million units affected globally.
This is a global recall of some of Shimano's 11-speed Holotech road cranksets, with more than 760,000 affected in North America alone. The United States Consumer Product Safety Commission says the recall applies to cranks over an 11-year period from January 2012 through August 2023 after a reported 4,519 instances of cranksets separating.
There have been some questions from you, our viewers, and as ever, some of you have provided some, let's say, excellent ways at looking at this. Before we take a look at those, I just want to give you the basic facts if you have not seen them yet. So firstly, we'll pop the affected cranks on the screen now. The recall affects both cranksets specced on complete bikes and aftermarket. So if you bought some cranks just alone, then these are affected too.
Yep, inspections will be done at participating local bike shops. North America is the first for inspections and those should have started already. Europe and the rest of the world should follow soon. Consumers whose cranksets show sign of bonding separation or delamination during the inspection will be provided a free replacement crankset from Shimano that the dealer will professionally install. And the replacement cranks will come from Shimano's 12-speed ranges.
Now, some of you have asked about cranks that failed before the recall, and that was a question that I had as well. Well, prior to Shimano's announcement, cranks that failed out of their original warranty period may not have been replaced. This may mean that many riders were forced to purchase new cranks.
Neither of Shimano's statement includes details on whether these riders who have previously replaced cranks at their own expense due to a failure would be in line for new cranksets or some other kind of compensation. We asked Shimano for an answer and they told us that if a rider still has the affected crankset, it will be considered as a new case and can be taken to the dealer for inspection. If it has been discarded, however, Shimano won't take any action.
Then, if your cranks are affected by the recall but are deemed safe to use by the professional dealer, you won't get a replacement. I don't know how you feel about that, Tom, but I'm not sure I'd be really reassured.
I'd certainly be inspecting my own cranks regularly, if not changing them, just in case.
Many of you have also asked why Shimano has waited for so long. Given this issue has been known about and reported on by several media outlets, including us, for a number of years, we asked Shimano why they issued such a large-scale recall.
Shimano said they monitor any warranty issues that arise with all of their products. Unfortunately, they followed that up by saying that they are not able to go into the specifics of the process and timing with the authorities.
This is one of the main issues with the whole situation. There has been a lack of clarity that has left many of you at home, as well as us, with some questions, but at least some of you can see the lighter side.
Yes, I did like this particular comment. Checkmate Shimano, I bought Sora built like a tank.
And then there's this one from Kevin. Good thing I can only afford Tiagra. Tom, you've been a bike mechanic and I've been a bike mechanic as well. How many of these cranks have you seen? Because I've only seen one in the past.
Yeah, if I recall correctly from my memory, I think it was 5 that I saw in my time at a retailer. And that does go back quite a while in my case as well. I don't know when your example was, Liam. But
several years ago.
Yeah, so we are both intrigued as to why Shimano have only just issued this recall, but we'd love to know more of your thoughts, so let us know down in the comments.
While Shimano was having a very bad time, SRAM has launched an e-bike motor that makes your bike like an automatic car. Now, I bet you've got lots of things to say.
No idea what you mean. I've never had any opinions on electric bikes or cars either. Seriously though, putting my e-bike prejudices aside, Eagle Powertrain is definitely going to make some waves. It's SRAM's first motor, and perhaps surprisingly, I was certainly surprised by this, it's teamed up with an existing motor manufacturer rather than going it alone.
Yeah, so they're using a Bros motor, which is similar to Specialized, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you already have a Specialized turbo e-bike, you'll be familiar with the motor, and the top tube display is very, very similar too. So while it is similar to the Specialized unit, it does get a unique tune to SRAM. So it packs more power at 680 watts of peak assistance versus 565 watts of the Specialized version. Peak torque is the same at 90 Newton meters, and battery capacities are 720 watt hours and 630 watt hours, while there is also the option of a 250 watt hour range extender available separately. If you want to know more about the motor, then be sure to check out our launch video. But Liam, I want to talk to you about how it interacts with SRAM's transmission, as you alluded to.
That seems like the biggest thing for me. Now, I don't want to spoil Alex's excellent video, but he seems to think that Bosch is still the motor of choice. Now, as an entire e-bike powertrain though, SRAM has got it covered better than pretty much anyone else, haven't they, really?
In Alex's own words, he does think that if you were to isolate the e-bike motor on its own, then Bosch still has the edge in terms of its power delivery and power. But overall, does seem to think that Powertrain is a better system overall. Does have the auto shift feature, as we've alluded to, so that will shift you automatically between gears, and coast shift as well, which is actually similar to Link Glide Di2, Liam, which I think you're fairly familiar with Di2 things.
I do like a bit of Di2, but what I want to come back to, Tom, is how is this like an automatic car? Is this literally going to change gears for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So using an array of sensors on the bike, it will shift gears for you. It's a very, very clever system. You can fool it though, which we had a few times while we were filming and Alex had while testing. So if you're going bombing downhill and then you suddenly get to a steep incline back up, you'll go to power into it, and normally, I mean, I certainly would, I'd stay in the change gear and up my cadence. But in this situation, it will change into a harder gear for you. So whereas a human in control of the drivetrain would go, oh, well, I just want to keep it in this gear, Powertrain will shift into a harder gear for you. And while you can't override that, it's not fully automatic. So there is still a semi-automatic thing in there, but it is definitely an interesting development.
I certainly see this being massively popular with people that just want to hop on a bike and go across town. Maybe they've got a couple of hills in the way, they want the assistance of the motor, but then they don't really want to deal with changing gear and all of that stuff, so they just pedal.
It can't be any simpler really, but until we can really, sort of, as Alex alluded to in the video, until we have a bike that can actually read the trail ahead of you and act in the way that a human would, it might not be perfect every time for experienced riders, but certainly for newbies, as Liam alludes to, could be a great system to try out. So once again, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Now, moving on to endurance road bikes, and road race bikes are a bit long and low for many of us, so endurance bikes have long been a popular choice for club and recreational cyclists.
I mean, they've always offered the feel of a road bike with wider tyres and a slightly more accessible position. But the latest generation of endurance bikes have, in my eyes at least, strayed dangerously into gravel bike territory.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, recently we've seen new bikes from Specialized, Giant, Pinarello with the Rouaix SL8, the Defy, the Dogma X, offering tyre clearance that we'd have seen previously on gravel bikes just a few years ago. In fact, Specialized is openly admitting that with front suspension and flex built into the rear end, their gravel racers will likely be choosing the Rouaix for some gravel events in the future.
Now, as a fan of comfort and a user of full-length mudguards, I love seeing all of this space, but big tyre clearances do have an effect on the geometry, which changes how the bike handles. Tom, what does adding bigger tyres do to the way that the bike handles?
Well, if you've got a bigger tyre, the main difference is going to be in the fork clearance and also in the rear end of the bike as well. So to fit a bigger tyre in, you physically need more space, so the fork has to be longer, which means the front end is higher. The rear end also has to be longer to accommodate that, so it is going to slow down the bike's handling. So you're not going to have your sub, 1000mm wheelbase on some of these bikes, with these bigger tyres.
I guess that makes it for road riders. That might make it a bit slow in terms of the handling if you are used to a road race bike, but if you are someone that just likes chilling out for a few hours on your ride, then this is going to be a nice relaxed ride, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely so. It's not going to feel as sharp on descents or in tight twisty sections where you really want to flick it from one corner to the next, but if you're like me, and you as well, Liam, when we just want to go for big, long days out in the saddle, you don't want to go crazy fast, it's just nice to have that bit of extra stability. You can sit back a bit, relax, enjoy the view, enjoy the good British countryside. So yeah, these bikes are definitely popular for a reason, and like we said, you can even stray onto gravel as well.
I would say though, Tom, I think endurance bikes have actually been released from their shackles a little bit, because these days they don't have to be race ready in terms of the UCI for road racing, because the teams are using their regular road race bikes for like the cobbled classics. So it has kind of allowed brands to be a bit more inventive with their endurance bikes, because they're not, you know, hemmed into what the pros want.
No, definitely. I mean, pros are using 28mm rubber now for racing.
And the rest.
Which is, well, yeah, and the rest, even bigger sometimes, which is what used to be the preserve of the endurance bike. So those lines between road race and endurance are blurred. So it seems pretty logical to me that the grounds between the gravel bike and an endurance bike would merge. I mean, I had a Genesis Dayton, which was one of their first gravel bikes, which came with 32mm tyres as standard. Yeah. You know, and that was considered a gravel bike back then. I mean, definitely an interesting move in the right direction.
I would say that there is still a clear difference between endurance road bikes and gravel bikes. Tyre clearance for 2+ inch tyres on some gravel bikes, for example, is the absolute defining feature of some of those bikes. There's also the slacker positions for better off-road handling, lower gearing to kind of winch yourself up those off-road climbs, and also additional mounting points for carrying all sorts of bags and snacks.
Yeah, you've got like fork mount, slot mount, yeah, all the snacks, cake, or waffles in Felix's case. But yeah, we've seen one-by gearing a lot more on gravel bikes as well, and while we have a whole separate video on why one-by gearing should be kept to off-road bikes, on the road, it's still not really a thing, but obviously massive in the gravel world. So still a couple of differences between the two that separate them out. But the lines, as ever with the bike industry, are just blurring more and more.
What do you think of this? Do you like the fact that all bikes are coming in sort of a gravelly road form? Or do you prefer to have your road bike, your gravel bike, your endurance bike, your mountain bike, all these nice separate things? Let us know in the comments below.
So if SRAM's automatic shifting e-bike motor has piqued your interest, then be sure to check out Alex's excellent first ride review video with the link just up here.
Before you go, remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. God, I can get down off my soapbox now.